Well, we're here with Chairwoman Leah Marquez Peterson. Madam Chair, thank you for joining us. Of course, the Chairwoman of the Arizona Corporation Commission. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk to you.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I'm honored.
So I have to ask you this question. So you and I got to know each other when you were the head, president and CEO of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And there you fought against a lot of regulatory encroachment on businesses. Don't you think it's a little ironic? Now you work for a regulatory body.
Well, I think it brings a very valuable perspective as my role as a commissioner, because I certainly don't want to overregulate. I want to provide as many free market opportunities as possible, but also provide those guardrails that really protect public health and safety. But you're right, it's a different perspective to bring to the commission.
So that's interesting you say that, because a couple of years ago, Arizona was faced with an initiative that was, by all accounts, the entire business community rallied against it. It was the Steyer initiative. Tom Steyer from California decided he was going to impose basically energy policy on Arizona, and Arizonans fought against this. And you were part of that coalition that fought it off. And how do you think it's going now that we've been able to defeat that and you've been able to launch some fairly significant initiatives around renewable energy on your own? I shouldn't say on your own, with the help of a lot of folks.
Fellow commissioners. Yeah, it's good that you bring that up. That was Prop 127. And I advocated against that pretty vehemently as a small business advocate, as a chamber president, because it would have put like 100% renewable energy standards on Arizona's ratepayers in a very short period of time, and would not have allowed any flexibility because it was a citizen initiative. So Arizona thankfully resoundingly defeated it. What we're doing today is completely different. We're setting a goal that's some 30 years out that's focused on emission standards. It's really looking at the end game and not calling out winners and losers in terms of technology. So it's different. And because I had that experience advocating against Prop 127, I think it's made my perspective certainly a little more in tune and focused as we negotiate our energy rules.
Do you think that's why you're seeing a lot of our utility companies voluntarily starting to move in this direction, because they feel that there's a better path forward without being having the threat of that very overly burdensome corporation commission standards that might really affect their ability to do this in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'll explain by saying the last time we approved a standard such as this, it was 2006, and it's our renewable energy standard, which mandated that the utilities utilize renewable energy by a certain period of time. But it was, in essence, subsidizing the renewable energy industry because it was so much more costly to produce it. Fast forward to today, and the cost of solar has dropped dramatically. The industries are shifting. There's a lot more innovation and technology coming forth. So I think the utilities, APS and TEP in particular, have really been able to set their own goals in place and really engage a lot of the stakeholders and community leaders in each of their areas that they serve. And it's an entirely different approach to the energy rules, and very appreciative.
So let's talk about those standards. You were a very vocal proponent in incorporating the emissions-based standards rather than technology-based standards. Can you describe that? Because that process, I know, could be a fairly significant, but folks that don't understand that, they don't understand why that is.
Yeah, and I understand that it's kind of wonky, the work that we do at the commission. So I'm making it a point now to go around the state and talk to as many groups, chambers, and other clubs that want to learn about this. But what we are doing, and it's an initiative that I propose, and very proud to do so, was that we achieve 100% clean energy and zero carbon emissions by 2050. A lot of analysis went into just that statement. One, in the past, you'd seen standards based on technology, so a certain percentage of a type of technology, renewables or so on. But I think it was very important to me, and as I talked to my fellow commissioners, that we don't pick the winners and losers in technology, that we leave it open to include nuclear energy. We have such a great asset in Arizona with our Palo Verde nuclear plant, which one is one of the largest in the nation, or the largest in the nation. Renewable energy, hydrogen, fusion, I mean, all natural gas and the transition it's going through. There's so much out there and so much innovation. We want to do not tie us down to a certain type of technology, but really focus on the end goal, which was zero carbon emission. In my opinion, Oh, go ahead. Were you gonna?
No, so that was one of the big knocks, or as I recall, on Prop 127, is that it was either our way or the highway. And
Right.
what you've basically taken is all of the above approach.
I have, because not coming from the industry and serving in this role as a commissioner, I don't know what's coming down the pipeline 10, 20, 30 years from now. I've seen so many really great, neat, innovative concepts that I hope come to fruition that could really change the world of energy that we know today. So I consider it as setting guardrails in place. We are shooting for the end goal, and then the utilities need to get there with the lowest cost option.
So you mean to tell me that politicians and government officials don't have all the answers?
That is true. I'm sorry to break the bubble.
Oh my goodness. That's going to be a front page story tomorrow.
Uh-oh.
So one of the things that we've seen in solar energy is that the cost over the last decade has significantly decreased, allowing, I know, the Corporation Commission to look at how we can not only control the cost, but maybe even lower them over time. But we're not seeing that with a lot of traditional non-renewable energy sources. Is that part of the consideration that you look at as you're moving forward, that, as you're saying, technology is getting better, we're able to expand the breadth and depth of renewable energy, and as that continues to happen, that the ratepayers, the ultimate person that, that is affected by this, could see some significant improvements in what they're paying?
Yeah, not sure if the average American realizes how much the cost of solar has dropped dramatically. That makes it an entirely different structure in terms of our energy mix in Arizona now and in the future. So great opportunities in solar and renewable energy. In fact, in 2018, Arizona was #2 in the nation in solar. And so I expect us to continue being the solar capital of the nation because we've got such a great asset here. But there are new technologies and, again, innovation in place that will help us along in that regard. We have all heard APS and TEP make that commitment to eliminate coal, and not too far in the future. You're talking 10, 12 years for each of those companies. So we're going to have a coal impact to communities. That's something else we are tackling and talking about and at the commission. And we're also looking to what future industries might look like and what we can attract to Arizona. We are hearing from companies across the nation as they look to relocate that they're looking for states that have embraced 100% clean energy. So I think this is an important economic development move for Arizona in addition.
You've taken a very, more than I've seen in a long time, but a very strong relationship building approach with our business community. Do you think that that's important for your work and to be ultimately successful? I know, you have people like Glenn Hammer, who unfortunately is leaving our state, but has been a tremendous fan of yours. I know Todd Sanders from the Greater Phoenix Chamber, same way. Neil Giuliano with Greater Phoenix Leadership. But it seems as though it doesn't happen by accident, that you've been working that angle very strongly.
What I know, and as a former chamber president, I realize that elected officials at all levels are making decisions that impact every one of our families and our businesses. So we need now, as an elected official, we need to hear from our constituents in all different perspectives. I noticed early on that we had a number of stakeholders that spoke to us at the commission, but I rarely saw anyone representing the small business community. I didn't often hear from tribal communities and some of the rural communities. So I made a point to reach out myself. I'm the only commissioner not based in Maricopa County. And I think that brings an interesting viewpoint of some of the different roles and policies that we're tackling. So I have been sending communications out to chamber presidents. I've met with the Intertribal Council. I've traveled around, even during the pandemic, with a mask on, of course, to meet with rural community leaders to make sure I'm hearing from them. Because beyond electricity, we regulate more than 300 water companies in the state, and most of them are rural, and wastewater and gas and railroad and pipeline safety and all these different issues that really impact folks in every corner of the state.
So what would you say is the most important factor for growth of clean energy over the next few years? I mean, what would you like to see happen, and what do you think are things that the governor or the legislature could be doing to augment the kinds of things that you're trying to propose and trying to implement?
But as you know, and probably many watching this video know, we're in the bit of a battle right now with the state legislature, unfortunately. As a commission, we've taken a neutral stance on the bills that are pending, where the state legislature has questioned our authority. And I'm not an attorney, so in my perspective, I think this will be settled by the courts eventually. But I would like to see all of our leadership throughout the state really, support an emission-based standard in the state of Arizona. And to put that out there as almost an economic development slogan, that we are committed to this. We're also committed to affordability. I've heard from thousands of families during this pandemic how challenging things are financially. I have so many friends and know folks that own small businesses that just haven't recovered, as you probably do also. So we need affordability top of mind, and then we need to be focusing on clean energy and zero carbon emissions. It'd be great to have the state legislature, the governor's office, all the local leaders all support that effort.
So, and I have to ask this question, you're the first chair of the Arizona Corporation Commission who's a Latina, and that comes with certain, a lot of high standards, I would imagine. Folks I know they're pulling for you, but I'm sure there's also a lot of pressure when it comes to taking on that role.
It's interesting. As I won the election, I was so thankful to do so, because it's hard to win when you're not from Maricopa County. Typically, you really have to work throughout the state, and add a pandemic on top of that, and it was a little crazy. But upon getting elected, I started campaigning for chair. I had been there about 1.5 years, and I thought there were certain things I'd seen in that 1.5 years I'd like to improve. Our relationship with the state legislature, improvement and process improvements and lining, some of the different work we do related to the 70 to 80 rate cases we see a year internally. I thought we could do more related to public transparency and communication. Most people I know do not know what the commission does, and trying to really help promote that. So, I campaigned for this, and I realized that also on a 5-member board, I might often end up in that swing seat. So I thought this is the right place to be. Having run the Tucson Hispanic Chamber, I think really resonated with me how important it was to do outreach. I wasn't going to, and I don't plan to be passive and just sit here and wait for people to come to me. I've got to get out there and poke people and tell them, we're talking about this, and it's in your town or your region. You need to be aware and weigh in. So, yeah, I think being Latina what an honor to, having been one of the first Latinas statewide, and now serving as chair. And I think I might be the first chair, at least in many decades, from Southern Arizona too. I haven't gone to 1912 to check, but it's been a long, long time.
Well, I got to tell you, as you know, as a hometown boy of Nogales, I'm very proud of what you've done. And I do know that the business community has been very, very appreciative of your efforts, because I think having that connection and looking forward to really looking at economic development and growth, and at the same time recognizing what we need to do to protect our environment can go hand in hand. And unfortunately, over the years, it's always been in conflict with one another. But now it seems as though you're putting a path where that could be achievable, but Arizona could make sure that we're going to have the kinds of jobs and quality of life that we need to have.
Absolutely. It's a balance.
Right. Well, Madam Chair, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate all you're doing for this great state, and appreciate all your efforts. I know sometimes it's not the easiest job in the world, but you do have a lot of folks willing to help and are pulling for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jaime. I really appreciate it.
Thank you much.